You're listening to the Normal Isn't Necessary podcast, brought to you in part by the Gumball Head Sobriety Society and generous listeners just like you. For the latest updates, check out the link in our bio. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Normal Isn't Necessary podcast. It is June 13th. It's a Friday the 13th. And I am your host, Gumball Head. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing well. This is the RaNt series where we complain about stuff, where we just talk through issues in our lives and kind of figure out how things work out. We try to do everything twice a day when it comes to the series. And then we also have the Get to Know You series where we interview guests. If you're interested in being a guest on the show, or you have information, feedback that you want, send us an email, normalisn'tnecessarypodcast@gmail.com. Or you can get in touch with us through the website, www.gumballhead.com. So this morning I'm driving to work, and I've already had a couple of instances where I just kind of scratched my head about the way people drive. And I was watching a Facebook video last night. A guy was driving down the road, had his dash cam footage out, and someone almost cut him off. Someone actually did cut him off, and there was no collision or anything like that. He honked his horn, kind of frustrated and stuff, and kind of moseyed on and moved on, and the dash cam's still rolling, and the person that cut the fella off actually passed him left side, 2-lane road, and rear-ended a car at a stoplight. Calm down when you're driving. I rode RaNt. I don't road rage. The goal is to get everybody to their destination safely. I don't think anybody ever has any intention of causing harm with these 20,000-pound boxes of lead that we drive down the road, mostly plastic nowadays, but you know what I mean. It kind of gives me a good heavy reflection, too, on when I got my DUI back in 2017, and as to why I'm not upset with the people that had contacted the law enforcement when it came to me being under the influence while driving. I'm by no means a saint. I've learned from my mistakes and I've remediated my thought process. But as a result, I look and see how lucky I was that day and how lucky all the other drivers were that day. And we take that for granted. During a conversation yesterday, I had spoke to somebody about golf. And they said, my stepdad used to golf 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. He would golf on leagues, and then on the weekends he would either do tournaments or casual golf. And I said, I think he liked the drinking more than he liked the golfing, which they kind of go hand in hand when it comes to of all the sports. There's usually copious amounts of alcohol or beer involved when you're golfing. At least with me and my friends list were. Nowadays, you get off the golf course and you leave, and you don't realize how intoxicated you are. It's easy to drink more when you're golfing, because same thing with bowling. You have a little bit more, you drink a little bit more, and you're a little bit more loose. And you might play better, you might not play better. I don't think that alcohol is necessarily a performance-enhancing drug, but I do think that people feel as if they play better sports when they're under the influence, and same thing with conversation. I think sometimes people have better conversations based on, their intoxication, and it's ironic to think that, but it gives us the ability to loosen up a little bit and open up and kind of chat a little bit more and be a little bit more open with our conversation. And sometimes I just wonder about that. Sometimes I just wonder, if that is the intention behind, psychiatric medications or behind antidepressants, if the idea is to kind of numb the senses, to kind of get us to chat a little bit more and open up about things. And, I think that can be counteracted by consistent conversation and being open and honest with yourself, more so than anything else. And I'm not trying to ramble on about this. What I am trying to come up with is a concept that's easier to digest, and the fact that we don't need outside substances in order to make ourselves be the human beings that we want to be. What we need is purpose. What we need is a reason. And 2017, I found that reason. And I do talk about purpose a lot. I talk about purpose a lot. Because I live a purpose-driven life. I've got reasons to do the things that I do, and I've got reasons to say the things that I say. The podcast, primary reason for the podcast, get the information out there that people share with me. Get the information out there and share the things that I've seen and done and gone through in life with the people that are out there walking this planet, and just trying to get that out there so people can see that they're not out there alone. They're not the only ones dealing with these problems, and they're, albeit situations are individually unique, it's the outcome that we can change. And I'm observing a lot of depression right now, environmental depression, with my guests. I'm observing a lot of environmental depression with my clients as a result of, the way that society is putting these unnecessary pressures on us. We go to work and we get emails, and we look at the emails and we think that we're time constricted, and we are. There are a lot of times where I'm time constricted at work. I work well within my boundaries, and I try very, very hard to perform all the activities that I set, the intention for in the mornings, in order to succumb to the outcome of the day. The reality of it is there are expectations in our job to complete tasks in a timely manner, and sometimes we just can't get it all done in one day, and it spills into the next day, and the next thing you have a work list of things that you need to do. It's kind of the way life works, and sadly enough, we all have those work lists. We all have those things in life that require us to pay attention to, and the more we do, the harder we work, the more expectation there are on us, the more expectation of completing more work is asked of us, and trying to work through those things sometimes is a hindrance to ourselves. Sometimes we get overworked. And the reality of it is you can look at it one way. People think, I don't get paid enough to do this. Well, you get paid adequately. You get paid market rate for, the going rate of pay and the work. But how many people do you know that make a lot of money and they're unhappy? Does money really make people happy? Does money really motivate you to wake up in the morning, take a shower, put your shoes and socks on, drive to work, punch in, go in, push buttons on a machine, or fill boxes with medications or cereal, or go build a house, whatever your career path is, and then at the end of the day, punch out and go home? How many days have you spent extra hours at your job because you think that it needs to be addressed, that you think it needs to be done, that you think that you need to stay there? That's where we become that reliability. There are so many counter terms that come with stuff, And in my perception of things is my expectation is to be at work for 8 hours, be available for 8 hours, do my job for 8 hours. If I don't complete all my tasks in that 8-hour period, can I get in trouble? Yes, I can get in trouble. But if you wipe out 90% of your list, and you have a good reason to not complete that other 10%, I think that most employers will understand that. I hope that most employers will understand that. The downside is if you're one of those people that is willing to work 12-hour days, 5 days a week, the employer is going to expect you to work 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, and get 110% of everything that you set out to do that morning completed. I'm not saying be lazy. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is be realistic with yourself. Be realistic with yourself when it comes to exchanging your time for financial gain. Is what you're doing worth it? I tell my boss all the time, hey, I'm leaving. It's 4:30. I'm out of here. My work day is done. I'm going to go home. I hope you have a great day. My boss is like, okay, you got everything done that you wanted to get done today? Yep, sure do. Or nope, I'm going to finish this up tomorrow and this up tomorrow. And I work primarily by myself. I have a supervisor, and my supervisor understands that a lot of things happen throughout the day, and a lot of things change throughout the day. And I'm not saying this to justify anything. I work a very busy day-to-day schedule. I work very hard, And, was really impressive last night for my boss had actually said to me, I'm respecting your boundaries outside of work time. And I think that's important. I think that was a win for the little guys when I took that stand and was like, hey, you know what? I get bothered outside of work hours, which is no big deal. It's never anything major. But, it's family time. It's time for us to shift our brain over to family time. When work sucks you back in, you're right back at where you were at 8 o'clock in the morning when you woke up. Is that fair to yourself? No, it's not. Put your phone down. Disconnect from technology when your day is over with. Focus on your family. I've been trying to do that a lot lately. Albeit I still doom scroll, but when my kids say, hey, I want your attention, I try to give them my attention. Let's try that today. Let's try putting your phone down for the day. Or don't check your work emails over the course of the weekend. Give it a try and see how it goes. Maybe check them Sunday night right before you go to work or go to bed. But don't stress out about it Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock. Try to make things a little bit better inside your head. Until our paths cross, guys. Stay strong, stay focused, stay sober. Much love. We'll see you guys soon.